Hi everybody, Mr. Gazza here, 243. Okay, make sure you know this stuff. It's not that easy necessarily, though it is very doable. You're going to want to have, probably have notes 240 nearby. And there's going to be all of the stuff from page 9 onward is really about seasons. You want to really look through this. Okay, that's page 12, page 13, and it's really applying this stuff. Okay, and then we have some through the rest of the packet, applying what you have there, and this it can be tricky. So make sure you're on top of this. Here we go. What location receives the most direct insolation? Insolation with an O, it stands for incoming solar radiation. That's sunlight. So of the lettered location, it's going to be C because it's more directly overhead. Okay, so it's kind of straight on. If you're a person, and feel free to write on this, it's going to be kind of overhead, while over here the sun's going to be coming in at a lower angle, for instance. What season does this represent in the northern hemisphere? Again, the notes really represent it. We're going to call the North Pole tilted away from the sun. So for us, northern hemisphere, it's going to be winter. Winter. When Earth is at this location in its orbit around the sun, what location does not experience nighttime? Look at this point right here as it rotates. It never rotates into the dark part. This is the nighttime section. Never does, so it's location E. Alright, and what direction does Earth rotate on its axis, clockwise or counter? And we usually mean looking down from the North Pole is what they mean. The little arrows in there, and that's going to be counterclockwise. Counterclockwise, okay. Here we go. 5. At what position is it summer in the northern hemisphere? Look at these axes here. Summer, please know, is when the North Pole is tilted towards the sun, so that's this one, A. At what position is it summer in the southern hemisphere? So the seasons are flipped. When it's summer north of the equator, it's winter south of the equator, and reverse. Therefore, so this right here, North Pole tilted away from, that's winter for us. Therefore, summer in the southern hemisphere, it's summer in South America and Australia, which, you know, is cool to think about. In what direction does Earth revolve around the sun? Look at the arrows here. Again, looking down kind of from the top, I guess is how you do it. It's how we traditionally do it, and that is going to be counterclockwise. The northern hemisphere experiences autumn at what position? So you got to realize that this is summer, and then this is winter, and autumn is between summer and winter, so it's position B. This one, which diagram correctly demonstrates the greenhouse effect? And it is 4. Shortwave radiation, electromagnetic radiation from the sun comes in, warms the ground and the plants inside the greenhouse. It gives off longer wavelength. That does not go through the glass and stays in, warms the greenhouse. That's the representation of the greenhouse effect in our atmosphere. 11. Which location will be warmed the most by radiation from the sun? The higher the angle, the more energy it's going to transmit. Be absorbed by the ground. So that's 3, 71.5 degrees. That's this angle right here is what that means. Okay, and then this is 24. That means this angle from the horizon, therefore that's choice 3. Which location has the, it should say lowest, sorry, typo on my part, lowest angle of insolation? Again, this represents sunlight, and that's going to be choice 1. So that's pretty straightforward. Here we go. Here's some more right here. And here we go. What day is the most intense insolation at noon? Intense means the strongest. Insolation means sunlight. Noon is here, here, and here. The higher the sun is in the sky, it's going to be June 21st. June 21st. June 21st. Okay. On what day is the sun's path through the sky the shortest? That's this one right here, December 21st. December 21st. On what day is the duration of insolation the longest? Duration means how long. Insolation means sunlight. That means the longest day as far as daylight hours. And it's on this path. The sun travels 15 degrees per hour along this path. So the speed is the same. The rate is the same on this path. The longer the path, the longer hours of sunlight there will be. So in this case, the diagrams above, it's June 21st. On what day does the sun rise due east? This is it right here. Sun rising due east, directly east. And it's on both of these days. March 21st. September 23rd, those 2 days of the year, so I'm going to write 3/21 and then 9/23, both of those days. On what day does the sun set north of west? That's this right here, setting north of west. This is sunset, sunrise, and that is June 21st. 18. Which path of the sun represents the longest day? So A, B is this, C is this, D is that. And it's going to be D, the longest path, because the sun appears to move at the same rate along that path. On what day does the sun rise at due east location? This is right here. On what day? And it's C. In the diagram, what season would it be in Columbia County? Here's the sun, North Pole, tilted away from the sun. Therefore, it would be winter for us. Okay, and we would be like up here, and if you look overhead, that would be overhead. Sun is going to be kind of low in the sky, not directly overhead, far from being overhead as the sun rays comes towards you that way. Where does Earth's axis always point towards what star? This is a bit of review from earlier on in the year, and that star is Polaris, the North Star. So that's why your angle to Polaris equals your latitude, as long as you're north of the equator. So that's a bit of review. But out there in space, that's Polaris is right where the axis would be pointing. What is the latitude of the Tropic of Cancer? This, you're going to need to look this up, probably in the notes. Well, hopefully you know it. But it's 23.5 degrees north. Cancer's north. Okay? And the Tropic of Capricorn is 23.5 degrees south. And this is where the sun is directly overhead on December 21st. This is where the sun is directly overhead at solar noon on June 21st. That's why those are included there. Okay, so here we go. Sun directly overhead at the Tropic of Cancer at solar noon. Tropic of Cancer at solar noon. You may have to look this up, but hopefully you know it. That is going to be summer for us. That's going to be axis tilted towards the sun, which is A. Some statements will have two answers, by the way. Hopefully you're reading that, and that is important. Winter in the southern hemisphere. Well, when it's summer for us, it's winter here, so that's also A. The shortest day in the northern hemisphere, meaning daylight hours. Okay, this is the first day of winter here, represented by C. Summer in the southern hemisphere. Again, winter for us, summer for southern hemisphere. That's C. 5. Axis neither towards nor away from the sun. That represents by B and D. So that's one that has two answers. B, D. Summer solstice in New York. Summer solstice, June 21st, first day of summer. Best answer here is that one, A. Sun directly overhead, Tropic of Capricorn at solar noon. That's this one, C, 23.5. Again, winter for us, December 21st. 8. South Pole has no night. No night. See right here, as this rotates during the day, it never goes into the dark part. So, that is location C. And that's where, so yeah, South Pole has no night, so they have 6 months of light during like their spring to fall season, and then they have 6 months of darkness at the South Pole. Everywhere on Earth gets 12 hours of day and 12 hours of night. That's this. The equinox is B and D. Longest day in the northern hemisphere. North of the equator, longest day, daylight hour, daylight-wise, it's going to be A. 11. North Pole has no day. That means it's all night. That's here. As it rotates on its axis, it never moves into the light part. It just stays in the dark. Therefore, that is C. 12. Autumnal equinox in the northern hemisphere. So, excuse me, that is the first day of fall, September 23rd. September 23rd. And which represents that? Well, you got to think, you can't really tell this or this that easily. It doesn't really have an arrow here, though, does it? But it does go this way, this sort of counterclockwise movement. Sometimes has arrows on it, sometimes it doesn't. So this is summer, and this is winter, and autumn is between those two, so it should be B. Often people get those wrong. So summer, fall, winter. That's B. 13. Winter solstice in New York is right here. Axis tilted away. That is C. And March 21st, again, winter into summer. That has to be D. Okay. These are answered with these three diagrams here. Sunsets due west. So which one shows that? This one right here, that's the sunset. You see the arrows on there. Sunset due west. What's that one? Okay. Sun rises north of east. That's this. Sunrise right here. We say this is due east, north of east, or north of due east, so that's 3. Equinox. Okay, no, on the equinoxes, the sun rises due east, that's due west. That you have to know, so commit that to memory. Know that. Winter solstice. Of these, where the sun is lowest in the sky and it rises south of due east, that's south of due west, so that's going to be 2. Highest angle of insolation at noon. That's this right here. That's how high up this is. That's the angle. If there's an angle right here, you can measure this angle. That's the angle of insolation. That's where it's highest right there. That's 3. Causing more heat from the sun to be absorbed by this area. That's why it's warmer. Longest day of the 3 choices, it goes on the path. The longest path here is 3 because it moves 15 degrees per hour every single, if that's 15 degrees every 15 degrees every hour. So the longer that path, the longer the daylight hours. Shortest day is this right here. Shortest path, that's 2. Okay, so work through these. This is not that straightforward. Or it's straightforward, but students do have trouble with this every year. So 22. The diagram represents a beaker of water that's being heated. As the colored dye pellet dissolves,